All right, everybody. Good morning, afternoon, good evening, good day, and good night, wherever you are on the planet, from Australia to Japan to England to the US in between, maybe in India in there somewhere. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Nim. I am the Technical Evangelist here at Kintone Corp. I'm joined by my colleagues, Genji and Will. You guys want to say hi?
Hi,
Hello. Genji and Will are our developer advocates hailing from Tokyo, Japan. I'm here on the west coast of the US in the Bay Area, and we are here to talk to you about Kintone developer tools today. Two of them in particular that have to do with automating part of the plugin development process. So for those of you who are just joining us, first time with Kintone, here's what you need to know. Kintone is a platform that makes it really easy to spin up what we call apps. You can imagine an app as like a table in a database or a spreadsheet in an Excel workbook. Really, really useful for business operations, for folks who are allergic to technology but want like a tool that's going to help them with their day-to-day workflows. Really useful also for software engineers and developers, for people who are looking to sharpen their skills, or who are looking to provide consulting to companies to help them, upgrade their experience of collaboration in the day-to-day experience of work. What we're going to talk to you about today has a lot to do with that consultation side, that side of building extensions to the native platform using client-side executable JavaScript. So if the phrase client-side executable JavaScript is really, really scary to you, and it's not something you're interested in, I don't think this workshop's going to be for you today. This live stream is going to be for you. But if that phrase sounds familiar, or if it's something that you're interested in, and if you want to know how and what we do with client-side executable JavaScript on Kintone, you're in the right place. So we create these snippets of code. We call them customizations. These bits of JavaScript, and then in many cases we upload them as is, hooking into our and that code might hook into our REST API. It might hook into our client-side JavaScript API. But sometimes we want to wrap that code with like functionality that makes it possible for non-coders to mess with it. Imagine like a Google extension, right? Google extensions are, you've got this code and then it's wrapped with like a settings page, a configuration page that lets non-technical users change the settings of that code. And that's what a plugin is on Kintone. What a plugin is, it's essentially, it's got this kind of file structure to it. You've got the JavaScript that gets executed on specific pages in Kintone. Then you've got the HTML of that configuration page where people can choose settings. And then you've got the JavaScript that manages the behavior on that configuration page, as well as any other helper files, any other CSS to make sure that the styling remains consistent. And then there's something called a manifest file that once a plugin is uploaded into Kintone, Kintone looks at this manifest file and it tells it where to find everything that it's looking for, okay? So what we need to know is that all of these files live in a structure that looks like this. There's like a source folder, and then there's, inside of that, there are 4 subfolders: CSS, HTML, image, and JS. And then there's a manifest file, manifest.json, that Kintone will read that tells it where to find everything that it's looking for, okay? So we're going to start today's talk, today's live stream, looking at like, well, what happens when we've built a plugin, or we're in the process of building a plugin, we want to test it, or we want to release it. What do we do? Well, there is some process by which we need to turn this this source folder into a plugin file, and a plugin file is, frankly, it's just a zip file, right? So there's something that we need to do, something that needs to happen to turn this to input this folder directory, this directory structure, and turn an output a zip file. And then once we have that zip file, we then need to upload it into Kintone. You know, that's not a big deal. Typically, we do like a one and done to upload something into Kintone. And here we are, in fact, in a Kintone environment where we've got plugins that have already been imported. But if we're building this plugin, we don't want to keep, well, I mean, we could, as part of like our build pipeline, ideally we want something automated over here. We want some way by which once we make changes to this source folder, will automatically update this zip file and also push this zip file up to this environment so that we can, we don't need to like manually handle parts of the build process, like, you know, repackage the plugin every time a change is made, re-upload the plugin into the environment every time a change is made. We want that to be handled automatically. And that's what we're going to be talking about now, the build pipeline for plugin development in Kintone. So buckle up. That's what we're going to be talking about today. And really what we're going to talk about are two build tools. One is called Kintone Plug-in Packer. Another one's called Kintone Plug-in Uploader. And I'll leave it as an exercise for you to figure out which one does which. We're going to dive right in. These tools are command line tools. They're designed to be very simple to operate if you're familiar with the command line. And so we're going to jump into the command line. Now, at this point, I've already npm installed these tools. So if you have not done that already, you can go ahead and npm install Kintone Plug-in Packer. And then make sure that, and you can install it at a global level, that's fine. And then we're going to move directories into our whatever directory your plugin lives in. For us, it's going to be a folder called one_starting_point. That's all. Okay. And once we're here, to run Kintone Plugin Packer, it's going to be very simple. It'll be Kintone-plugin-packer. And then we've got options, and then we're going to identify what folder to target, and then what we're going to output. So the options are optional. So minimally, it's just Kintone Plugin Packer, and then the source file or the source folder, which is, you can see this is where we are right now. This is the VS Code representation of the folder that we're in our command line tool in our terminal. So we've got we can do this, but we can also go ahead and we can add additional things. So we can add an option for a Ppk file. So what this is like a private key, and so this is relevant when if we are modifying an existing plugin, we want to be able to, and maybe we're pulling it off of somebody else's machine. We want to be able to modify and update that plugin without Kintone Plugin Packer spinning off our version of it as a new plugin. Each plugin has is defined by a unique ID. It's basically an alpha. I don't even know if it's numeric. It might just be like an alpha, like an alphabetical string. And that's how Kintone Plugin Packer is able to differentiate between its different plugins. And then that out file that tells us, well, if we want to spit out this, if we want to output a zip file, we can name it something. We can say, you know, output plugin test.zip, just like that. And then the input is going to be the input is going to be the src folder. And then that command called watch keeps alive this Kintone Plugin Packer command, and it watches the source folder for changes, and when those changes are made, it will update repackage the plugin and update this plugin test.zip. Get rid of watch for one moment. We're just going to run this once. And what we should see over here, all right, we succeeded. So we should see now like a plugin test.zip file. And in fact, take a look, this is new. And we also got a new Ppk file. So this is the special private key for this particular plugin test.zip. Okay, so awesome, that was successful. Let's get rid of these new files. We don't need them. And this time, instead of outputting to a new file, let's just say we're gonna watch this. There we go. So now this command Kintone plugin packer is active and it's watching the source folder. And so we should move on to the next piece of our build pipeline, which is Kintone Uploader. So we have over here, we're still in one starting point. Okay, let's take a look at what we've got. We've got plugin.zip. We've got our source folder. We've got this Ppk file, this private key file. And what are we going to do next? Well, if you haven't already npm installed Kintone plugin uploader, please go ahead and do that. And then you'll navigate to this directory, to whatever directory your plugin is in. And then we can start with a command, Kintone plugin uploader. And we're going to target plugin.zip. And now what we're going to do is, this is the part of the build pipeline where we are pushing this plugin file up to our Kintone environment, which begs a few questions. One is, where is our Kintone environment? Two is, what are our access credentials to this Kintone environment? And so that gets handled in one of two ways. First way is we'll be prompted, like so. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to input a sample subdomain, sample environment, and our username, the developer, and then our password. Now the cool thing is this part's hidden, so we'll be able to I'll be able to put stuff in over here that you won't see, and then there I go. What's happening now is Kintone plugin uploader is making an API call from our machine to the Kintone server and checking to see if the login is successful. Looks like we were able to log in. Looks like we had the appropriate credentials to upload the plugin file, and the plugin has been successfully uploaded. That's awesome. Okay, well, what if we wanted to do it a different way? Well, what we could do is we could actually create, if we're on Mac, Windows, it's a similar process, but on Mac, I'll walk through how to do it. We can create environmental variables. The way that we do that is very similar. We're going to create these variables, let's say Kintone base URL. Here we go, dev events.kintone.com. We're going to create another environmental variable called Kintone username, developer. And then we're going to create another environmental variable. This one is for the password. Now, folks, this session is going to be recorded. So I want you to know I'm going to put in a password right now. If you're going to try logging in with this password, you will be disappointed because we will have changed it by the time that you've seen it. But I want to walk you through what happens when we put in a password over here. So here we go. We're going to put in this password. And what you'll notice is we're getting an error thrown. What's happening is that exclamation point is a special character that's being not recognized as like a character that's part of a string. So what we want to do with that is we're going to backslash it. We're gonna force that character is recognized as a regular character, not as a special character, and then we'll hit enter. Mm-hmm. And oh, what did I miss over here? I must have done it the wrong way. There we go. Yes, it's a backslash. Okay, so what's the deal with these environmental variables anyway? Well, let me show you. you can type in this command printenv, one word, and you'll be taken to a list of all of your current environmental variables that are active on this shell, on this terminal. Now, what you'll notice is we've got these last few over here. Now, if we opened up a new tab, which I'll go ahead and I'll do right now, and we took a look at the list of open environmental variables, we'll see that the 3 that we added don't exist. So they're just local to our shell instance. Okay. So what happens is when you add those variables this way, it's going to be something very similar. We'll do Kintone Plug-in packer, and then plugin.zip. And what are we looking at over here? Oh, oops. I accidentally typed in the wrong command. We want Kintone Plug-in Uploader. Let's go ahead and try that. So you'll notice it checked for environmental variables. It used those environmental variables in these as part of its options, and now it's successfully logged on. It's trying to upload the plugin. We'll see if it's successful, if that API call works. That's the thing with API calls is, depending on a whole lot of variables, they might work, they might not. It may have something to do with your code. It may have nothing to do with your code. And
this is something you can do through the GUI, but it's going to take 1-2 minutes, and it's something that you'll do like repetitively if you're like building out plugins.
Oh, well, sorry. Say that one more time.
Oh no, I was just saying this is something you can do through the GUI, through the Kintone GUI.
Yeah.
But it's basically making that process much simpler.
Totally. Totally. What we're going to do next, as soon as this upload is successful, oh, looks like we ran into an error. And it was a timeout error. To be hidden failed. It looks like there was some class that something happened. Well, Puppeteer. Oh, it looks like the headless browser was doing some kind of headless browsing, maybe. And it was looking for a particular selector, and it didn't work. I'm curious if, since we just tried it, yeah, that's interesting. I'm not sure what the source of that error is. Looks like we are not in luck today, folks, for getting it right the second time. But we've got one down, and we've got the other one. It's pretty clear how it works. What's important for you to know is that either way you choose it, we still want to be able to automate the build pipeline. So what we're going to do is first we're going to load. We've got one tab with this Kintone plugin packer, and we set it up to watch. And now we're going to go back to Kintone plugin uploader, and we're going to also set this to watch. Now, the clever among you might say, well, you're setting this to watch, but it didn't work when you just set it up this way. Why would it work again if you are setting it to watch something and the command didn't work the first time? That's a really good.
Oh, so just a quick comment. The login credentials you have set is specifically tied to the terminal that it's open to. And since you have 2 terminals open with Kintone plugin uploader and packer, perhaps is an issue with storing the login credentials?
That's an interesting hypothesis, Genji. Let's check it out. Print env. So here I am. I've got the Kintone. I've got all of my important credentials over here. And Kintone plugin packer didn't require any environmental variables over here. This was strictly on my local machine. Because all I'm doing is what are my input, what are my target files, what are my output files, and what's my private key, right? but perhaps we can try in this other environment over here. We can say Kintone Plug-in Uploader, and we're going to watch and plugin.zip. And let's see if we can get it running on this part right over here. All right, well, this seems to work over here. And since we set it to watch, this terminal instance is still running. So there we go. We've got plugin packer that's running and waiting. We've got plugin uploader that's running and waiting. Now what we can do is I can make a change to the source code over here. I can say, hey, you know what? We're going to change this manifest, and we're going to say, let's say table numbering plugin. We're going to say the best table numbering plugin. Oh, and take a look. So we were trying to so Kintone plugin packer succeeded in updating this, and Kintone plugin uploader is trying to upload the plugin. And I'm going to be a little impatient. I'm just going to check to see, like, maybe we got lucky. There's definitely something new over here. So something has worked. And it may be that this one timed out again. I'm curious if we'll run into the same issue with this ocean-UI-dialog class that we're unable to find when we did this headlessly. Oh, yeah, this is the same issue. But it looks like we're trying to do it again because we're doing Kintone watch. Oh, so this seems pretty inconsistent. Looks like it didn't work the first time, but now we were successful. So let's refresh the page. There we go, the best plugin. Okay, well, we're going to go ahead and if you'll notice, actually, because it shared the same Ppk file as the one that we were using, remember we had table numbering plugin and it was a duplicate of the old one because these two guys had different unique IDs. But since this one had the same unique ID, we uploaded it the first time and then I changed the title of it to best. It instead of creating another instance of this plugin, it uploaded the existing one. We're going to clean this up, delete this. And if you guys are interested in this in more detail, you can go ahead and check out this GitHub link that we will drop for you somewhere easily available to you. I believe it'll be in the description. And we even have like a nice slides viewer if you want to, casually and easily look around and see how these bad boys work. So that's all for us for today. Again, for wherever you are around the world, from New Zealand to New Amsterdam. Thanks for being with us, and we look forward to hanging out with you again. If you're interested in some more stuff about Kintone for your own personal projects, or for you're thinking about like how you can generate revenue as part of like business consulting, or if you're looking to introduce Kintone to your teams, reach out and we'll be happy to answer your questions and get you set up. Take care, everybody.